You know the drill by now, so let's make the intro quick. We have had hundreds of submitted names for model reworks. I'm going to draw 10 names at random, and then me and 7 other talented modeleers will recreate those models with their own styles and ideas. Let's go. So here we go, wheel spinning time. This is my favorite part, although this time, like, I can't see what name is gonna land on. There's like 400 people in here or something like that, so who's gonna be? Overdrive Steel, congratulations. This is Hineni, whatever, I can't pronounce it. A D&D character and a mix between a fighter and a vengeance paladin. Who I am sure is not at all inspired by some anime character, no. Anyway, from what I gather from this model's description, I need to maintain the overall shape of the face and the hair, as well as keep, obviously keep the plate armor, it's a fighter paladin, yada yada yada. So for this model, I will not be doing any like complete reimagining of the concept. My goal is for him to remain a token that Overdrive Steel can use as a representation for their D&D character as is, but I will be trying to do this whole concept in my own style. That means probably a bit less heavy plate armor everywhere and an overall sleeker design, especially on that sword. However, it has to be said, the original model for Hineni is already very good, so who knows, maybe I'll just make it worse. We'll find out, let's go. Now, as always, one of the very first things that I do with almost every model I make since Kitbashing was released, well, not released, beta released, is to start stretching out the lower body. The models by default are just like a little bit too cartoony for my taste, so this always helps to make them stand out as more realistic in my opinion. Now, fortunately for my soulless self, this model doesn't really have much color. Like, it's your standard anime edgelord with a bunch of grey and black plate everywhere, so it's not a difficult character to color. With that said though, I do intend to throw in a little bit of red somewhere. The original model had some orange cloth here and there, so I'll use that to justify putting in a bit of color of my own, otherwise the model will be boring as hell. Yes, I'm sorry to break it to all the Dark Souls models enjoyers out there, but like, grey and black does not an interesting color scheme make. Now, you may wonder why I went for this kind of subtle, slow walk pose instead of the original combat pose. And I'll be honest, the original pose is really good. Like, I was tempted to go for some crazy mid-combat stance as well, but then when I read that it was like an Oath of Vengeance paladin, I honestly defaulted back towards this good old menacing walk pose. I've done similar poses many times before, and it's for a good reason. Like, it captures very well that kind of look of murderous intent, which to me speaks to the concept more than flailing about with a sword and a crossbow at the same time. But to each their own, like, it's for sure, it's subjective, right? So, here is the part where I get to refining this model and really turning it from being just another boring edgy plate wearer into something a bit different from anything that I made before. For starters, we need to bulk him out with a bit more plate. Yes, I know it's contradictory to what I said earlier, but I never claimed to be consistent, so shut up. Now, what I intend to use my last kitbashing slots for will be custom shields that I will be adding to this character's armor. I don't think it would be quite accurate to call this Brigandine, but what I'm going for is along those lines, where I want to kind of add on like plated pads on top of this Gambeson's skirt to flesh it out and make it match more with the rest of the character's plate armor. Rounding this model off, all I really did was like change the cloak to be orange again, and after that I just added some final decals. Like, in the end, I went back on a lot of my own creative changes to instead try and be more loyal to the original character, and honestly, I'm happier for it. I think trying to turn him into like a pseudo anime leather wearer was probably not the right choice to begin with. Anyway, I am keeping the sword though. You cannot make me put on one of those anime massive greatswords on this character. It will not happen, don't try it. When you get this model, you can do it yourself if you like, but you cannot make me. Okay, here we go again. Let's see what we get. I'm betting it's gonna be a green name. I always know. Oh, no. Look, he's going to the green. Oh, I called it. How cool was that? Okay, Deja Brew. Congratulations. So this is Aelis. It's a pretty cool concept actually. What at first glance looks like kind of a bog standard pirate lady is then spiced up by also having this kind of aquatic curse attached to her. But look, before I celebrate that it's a cool model, it has to be said that this model is a half elf. Yeah, elves. Yeah, I know. Alright, anyway. Judging by the original model, I am probably also not allowed to go crazy with this curse and turn her into a Lovecraftian horror, no matter how much I'd love to. Rather, the curse is probably going to be a bit more subtle and veiny as opposed to, you know, tentacles growing out of her face or whatever. It doesn't technically explicitly say this, so I could be mean and put it in there anyway, but look, let's be real, when it's like a D&D character and it's a half-elf, you can probably assume that the person playing them wants the character to look fairly normal and humanoid, otherwise they wouldn't have made them look that way to begin with, so look, it's fine, we'll figure it out. Now, right off the bat here, you may notice me making like edits to things like the skirt in Kitbashing, even though I haven't added any Kitbashing items yet. This is a new update to the Kitbashing beta, which makes the whole system even more intuitive, so really I have nothing but praise to Skycastle for this one. Basically, you can now adjust the character's clothing without taking up extra Kitbashing slots, and that's always a bonus. It's also just like a lot easier to put on to begin with, right? You probably already saw me do this on the previous model of Hineni, but like stacking hairstyles with kitbashing like this is honestly one of the highlights of the whole system. It used to be that you'd have to double model and then just accept that all of these little weird clippings or chunks of hair overlapping in completely different directions. But now like you can resize and re-angle it however you like, so like for the example with this braid, I can just hide away the main hairstyle altogether purely for the sake of adding the braid and nothing else. Kitbashing is great. In other news, water is also wet. With the coloring of this model, I'm trying to stay fairly true to the original, that is to say, you know, very basic grounded colors and then like a little bit of blue and a little bit of red. Now, like, fortunately for me, this is basically my favorite color scheme. You all know I put like red and blue on every single model I make, so I have nothing to complain about. This couldn't be easier. So, as you can probably tell here, I started messing about with decals, trying to come up with some kind of way to emphasize this aquatic curse of hers. But it just did not look good whatsoever. It ended up appearing very plastic and the textures just meshed very weirdly, so here I will once again renege on my previous promises. I told you there wouldn't be tentacles coming out of her face, but guess what? There are going to be tentacles coming out of her face. But relax, okay, it'll be fine, relax, don't worry. There will only be small tentacles, and I will be putting them out fairly selectively. The point with this will be to try and kind of color them in a way where it sort of semi-blends with this corrupted skin and all the veins. I'm figuring that as long as I don't go overboard and turn her into Davy Jones, it probably won't be an issue, right? In the end of the day, this is like a fathomless warlock, which is kind of Kraken themed usually, so it would be a missed opportunity to not be a little bit slimy, you know? I will be real, like halfway through this model I was very much struggling to make this model unique. Like as much as I personally like simple models, I was fearing that like for a video project that this would just look like any other generic pirate girl and that it wouldn't stand out much as its own thing or be flashy enough to really be worth putting into a video. But honestly, I think that this tentacle arm turned out cool as hell in my opinion, so I'm good with it. Now let's move on. Okay, another model, let's go. It's gonna be a blue name, 100%. There is absolutely no chance it's not going to be a blue name, unless it's a red or a yellow name. It's Zuzu the 13th. Congratulations. Yeah, I know Roman letters, I'm really smart. Alright, so for my last model, it's not the last model of the video, but for my last model, this just got very complicated. I don't even know where to begin describing this model, Inhanek. Now at first glance, from seeing this model, you might think, oh, it's like a bird person? This is easy, right? Like every other animal humanoid model I've made, I just hunch it over, cover it in wraps, put a hood on it, call it a day. But no, see, this is not a bird. This is a bug. It is a surki from Pathfinder, whatever that is, which is essentially this kind of big beetle-like bug. So for starters, it needs to be much broader and rounder than this original model is. Secondly, it doesn't get the coolest part of being a bug either. It won't get the bug face, because this is for some reason a bug which wears an ornamental bird mask. Why? I don't know. Read the submission for yourself if you want to know. It's safe to say that this will be like a very complicated model to get right, and I'm so far not really sure how I'll do it, but like, we'll see. I'll figure it out, you know, good luck. So by now you can see I've obviously got as far as to use tails to create some sort of like beetle-like fat bug appearance, which is, you know, that's a good start, and even if a lot of it will be covered in cloth, I feel like it's important for the bug parts to show at least initially through, or like it's going to look very, very hollow, this model. Now unfortunately, since no actual normal kitbashing clothing can be put over all of these tails, I'm going to have to make a sort of custom robe using kitbashing cloaks. It'll be fun, I'm sure, not torturous at all. No, this is great, I swear, I like this. This is fun. It was requested, among other things, that I keep the previous model's color scheme. That means a lot of dark green cloth and then like bits of gold and so on. Now that isn't really a problem in itself, but it does pose a challenge for what kind of color I can throw in to make the model actually pop. Because just green and yellow will kinda suck if that's all it is. But it's fine. Listen, here is my #1 tip for character design. If your model doesn't look cool enough, put a red scarf on it. It literally never fails. Okay, so we have reached the point where I have to put the bird mask back on. No, I am not going to try and create some massive elaborate bird mask design out of horns, because frankly I cannot really get a good grasp of what these masks are actually meant to look like. I tried to research it, but I couldn't find anything concrete, so I will go simple and ask that you, as the viewer, simply imagine this model with the bug face instead of the plastered on bird mask. Call the maskless version the Derf's director's cut, if you will. The bird mask is there really just for loyalty to the original concept. But with that said though, as difficult as this model was, it is a fun concept, right? Like, I'm not gonna complain too much. And at least now I've thrown a bone to all of those people who are mad at me that I never did a dedicated bug video. Look, it wasn't my fault, okay? Face Customizer came out like the same week I was working on it. Go away. So, here we go again. Let's get ourselves another name. Who shall it be? I still can't see. Hey, that rhymed, by the way. How cool was that? Alright, so, getting into the non-kitbashed reworks here. This is Weaver. Haha, yes, a spider-themed model by the person called Spider Child, what a surprise. And this one was reworked by Rainer. Now, off the bat, again, like I said, these models don't have kitbashing, so you can probably tell just by the fact that this is floating that there is some glitches involved. And I will be honest now, going into these, look, I have been using Kitbashing now for a few months, I think, and I was never really the master of glitches even before Kitbashing, so I'm not going to pretend to understand things like the HB9 glitch or whatever it's called. Like, that's, like, I don't care, I'll be honest, but I will try and point out when it is used in a cool way. So, one thing I do want to point out, there's no extra main model up here. This is a single model, somehow, which is kind of impressive considering there's... Oh, yeah, okay, I just canceled all the posing. As you can see, something weird happened. So, let's try and ignore the glitches to begin with, and I just want to say right off the bat, the coloring on this model is absolutely awesome. Like, the contrast between, like, the darkness and the red tips, it's just like, that is perfect. And as well, like, the white to break up the color scheme on the main model, like, to intersect with the black, or however you say it, I don't know. It is very, very cool. I don't know exactly, I believe this is like a custom leg pose using either the aforementioned glitch or a floating model. Obviously, without Kitbashing, they can't pose legs. Now, if I wonder what happens if I go into Kitbashing on a model that's already glitched. Like, I, with access to this, or they with access to this soon on September the 9th, could have just, you know, done all this glitchless, you know. You could have just made it float normally instead of doing all this weird stuff. But alas, you know, you gotta respect the people who basically are using Kitbashing before Kitbashing is out, but it must be very annoying. Rainer tends to have quite a different style from me in that, like, it's like he uses a lot of tricks that I don't even know how to use and tends to have a much more colorful style, but like, I still have to say that Rainer is by far one of like the most creative modellers I've ever seen, and I think this model shows that, because I would not have envied getting that model as my model to rework. That was a difficult concept, but Rainer aced it. This is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Alright, let's get ourselves another name. Who shall it be? I still can't see a thing, but it's gonna be a yellow name? No, green. Oh, Mr. Meatball. That's a good name. I like that. We like meatballs in Sweden, okay? IKEA meatballs and cinnamon buns. That's what it's all about. So this is Ragnus, and I gave this one to another old reliable, Toasty Tommy, or Toasty Thommy, I guess, who actually has made another giant before. Obviously this is a Goliath, not a giant, but you know, same thing, whatever, in one of my reworks videos, and I think he did a really good job, so I decided, you know what, he can have another giant. Okay, look, I don't get to choose which models there are, so I'm sorry, Toasty, I'm sorry I had to do the same thing again, basically, but here we are. You did it well, this is your reward, I guess. You have been typecast. So, this is a Goliath, which, you know, I made a Goliath pretty recently in Greg from my D&D party. This one is obviously a lot beefier, a lot more muscular, and has a way cooler pose, because this is not limited to being a D&D model, so, you know, it can have a cool pose. And I think the thing that, like, pulls attention the most is, like, the face. Like, you can see how Toasty has used the face customizer to, like, really, like, emphasize the brow, and, like, the nose and the cheekbones and everything, which really just gives it like this really like giantish appearance. It's hard to explain, but it's very, very cool. Now again, this is a double model, so yeah, these people are gonna have to get used to not doing double modeling when Kitbashing comes out. Let's cancel the posing on both of them, see what happens. Oh my lord, what? This face just looks so rejected compared to the other one. Oh, that's really cursed. But yeah, I mean, you can see the stacked hairstyles and all the weapons and the skirts, and obviously this model has thinner legs than this one to make the clothing fit on better, I suppose. It's just, this model has such a vibe. Like, this feels like, these are the kind of models I love most, I think. Like, it's kind of straightforward. There's no crazy, like, glitching going on here as far as I can immediately tell. It's just a nice, standard, classic double model banger, right? Also, there's some arm layering trick going on here to make this extra muscular arm. I think I know what it is. Yes, so this arm on the main model has been cut off and shortened and then layered on top of the muscle of the left arm, or the extra model arm, to make it look more muscular, something along these lines, which is a very, very nice trick. Now, from my experience anyway, I've not really found any way to like enlarge muscle using Kitbashing, so this is actually like a very useful trick. This is one of those tricks that I think will continue to be useful even into the age of Kitbashing, so, you know, take notes. Anyway, all around, super clean, love this model, great job, Toasty, you did not disappoint. Ba-do-ba-do-ba-do-boo. Ba-dum bam bam ba-dum bam bam. Alright, okay, it's gonna be a red, no, it's gonna be blue, green, blue, yeah, green. I said I was saying green the whole time, 100%. Congratulations, Raven. So this is Evangeline, which I initially gave to Second Breakfast actually, because, you know, it's kind of like a stereotypical like fantasy pretty lady character, even if it's evil. But Second Breakfast ended up trading this with Emily, who is one of the other new reworkers. Now Emily, I've seen make some really nice looking like typical medieval heroic type characters. And I've always been a very big fan of them. And I think that shows in this model here. Like you can definitely see that in the character. Like this is a very well done face, the expression is spot on, the vibe and the horn hair and the like clothing and the decals and all of that is just like pitch perfect. I mean this wing as well, such a nice addition. So all around it looks like a really flashy upgrade of the original character, which is exactly the point, right? And as you can see, if I cancel the posing, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on here. Arms all over the place, tails all over the place, etc, etc. But, and I feel like you can probably hear this in my tone, there is a but coming. Now, I try not to ever be mean to the reworkers, and I'm not gonna be here either. This is a good model, don't get me wrong, but I feel like all of this flashy magic was not necessary. Now, this might just be my opinion, right? I recognize that. But the original model doesn't have any of this stuff. And generally, if a model is made without any of that stuff, it's because the person who made them initially kind of like for the character to look as they usually do, and not when all of their flashy magic is out, like in the mid-combat pose or whatever. And I actually feel like all of this flashy magic takes away from how well done the actual character itself is. So let me just try something. I don't know if this is gonna work well, but I'm just gonna try and remove the extra tails on both models. See what happens. Yeah. So obviously the pose kind of somewhat relied on those tails to balance it out, but honestly I think it works well enough without it. My opinion is the model is much more loyal to the original concept and much cooler like this. I think this is a really cool model, the coloring especially back here, like see now you see the coloring. I didn't even notice that like the tips of these wings have this like awesome purple like luminescent glows on them, and that's just like a thing that I didn't see because so much of the model was just taken up by this massive like magic tail cloud, right? So I have mixed feelings. I think this right here is awesome. I would give this like a solid like clean, perfect, well done job, right? But when I control Z and I bring all these tails back, I'm not so sure, right? It's cool, it is flashy, right? Which, you know, again is subjective, but I personally think that it was just a little bit too far. That's my opinion. Either way, awesome model, well done. Good to have you on, Emily. You did not disappoint. Here we go. Okay, alright. Let's get us on to another name. It's gonna be a yellow name. No, it's gonna be a red name. Yeah, red. 100%. Congratulations, Sidmic. Alright, so this is Sidmic, which is a model I originally gave to Emily, but like I said before, they got swapped around, so this model got given to Second Breakfast instead. Now, the reason I did not originally give this to Second Breakfast is because Second Breakfast is addicted to double modeling and all the tricks that come with it. And the person who made this model, the name I drew, did not want double modeling on this character. They said they wanted it to remain a single model character, so I thought for Second Breakfast this might be just mean, but alas, it is still, you know, a pretty female character, so that at least is a Second Breakfast treat. So, we have a kind of cyberpunk concept, and Second Breakfast, to be fair, is very good at that. I mean, you can see with like the horns and stuff being used here for the face, you see these little like cybernetic enhancement or whatever they're called, and you can see it in the arms as well, like transitioning from what looks like skin into these like robotic arms. So where do all of those arms go? Because obviously there's some layering going on here in the actual normal arms, but I wonder, there's some parts of it that I'm not sure where it all ends up. You know what, let's pull them out. Let's figure this out. Yeah, so this is what I figured. You can see that this arm is being used to add detail to the chest, and it's, yeah, this little detail here, that's what it's all about. That tiny little thing to round out the shape of like the rib cage at the very bottom. That's all it's about. Literally the only reason the arm is there. And this is why I love Second Breakfast, right? Like the amount of effort Second Breakfast will put in, that's a little floaty glitch there, just for the tiniest little details is like, oh, I see. Okay, so this is a shell that is being unloaded. It's like, right, it's, okay. Oh my god, that is so cool actually. So the gun is being reloaded and the shell is popping out, and it's actually been made to look invisible to make it smaller. You see it's actually a little bit too big to be a gun bullet, but because it's decal colored black and placed against this background, it just looks like a tiny bullet being, you know, flipped out of the magazine. God damn, that is actually so goddamn cool. Look, it's a Second Breakfast model and I'm not even focusing on the face or the hair, so like that speaks for itself. well done, 10 out of 10. I just, yeah. I'm really great at singing. I honestly could have been Elvis Presley. Oh, congratulations, the Kiwi! So this is Freslin, which I gave to cheese. Yes, old reliable cheese. Now, similarly to the one made by Emily, this has gotten very, very, very glowy and flashy, right? But I'm gonna be a bit of a hypocrite here and say that I think it makes more sense in this case because the original model already had kind of like an in-motion channeling posture, so it works and it had the glow and all that stuff. So this is not as big of a deviation. Now, the reason I gave this one to Cheese, I feel like it's kind of obvious just by looking at Cheese has always excelled at like these flashy, like kind of evil-looking models, like Necromancer, witch hunters, etc. It's like cyborgs, you know, it's just like, well, to be fair, Cheese kind of does everything well. Even if you removed this skeleton and the awesome posing and like the face customizing and the glow on the lighting and all this stuff, but you can even tell there's a specific decal on the chest alone to make the ribcage glow without making everything else glow too much. This is the kind of thing that sets Cheese apart, is like that attention to detail and all of the like feathers and fur linking up on top of this character's chest piece, which just gives it so much unique detail and kind of makes it look different from anything else in Heroforge. As well as, of course, the mask. You know, this is a much cooler bird mask than the one that I had on the bug character I made, right? It has just enough green glow to be super cool and just enough normal colors in between to make it all stand out at every time, no matter how flashy he gets. So it's like a perfect balance, really. Like, I don't really have anything negative I could say about this. Just a classic Cheese masterclass, to be honest. I mean, I could say this decal back here looks a little bit like out of place maybe on a cloak. I've never liked putting decals on big cloaks like this. That's just me trying to nitpick. Anyway, great job. Awesome. So, let's get ourselves the second to last model now. I am... Oh, wait. It's gonna be a yellow name. Yeah. Oh. Catnip Dealer. I like that name. I want myself a catnip dealer. Alright, so... this is Vike, which I gave to Roosta. Now, Roosta, some of my regular viewers might know as like the king of chainmail. Like, this guy loves making like custom knights and stuff like that, and really cool custom helmets using like weird face customizer and horn tricks, etc. Unfortunately, out of the 7 extra models that I drew, well, out of all 10 of them really, there was no character that really fit the bill. But we did have one like standard low fancy fighter type, which was Vike. So I gave that one to Roosta. Now, you can kind of tell immediately that it's got that like low fantasy feel to it, like it's a very gritty face, like the horrible scars here and like the burn marks and the twisting face customizer with like the... I think this is a like horn stuff being used as a custom like head wrap thing, and then, yeah, like you can see how Roosta likes to play with shapes because he's not used decals to portray all these like scars in this character. He's using actual like shapes of tails and horns and whatnot, and it is kind of gross, I'll be real. And from a technical standpoint, right, that is very, very, yeah, like I said, very, very advanced. Like, how... Really, hold on. No way did Rooster know I was gonna reset the posing and put a smiley face. No way. Okay, this one gets top points, hands down. This one wins. The best model of the video. No way. Okay, I mean, it's back here as well. I can't believe, no. How much extra effort is that to make sure that that's how it would end up when I was dissecting it? I can't, man. I can't. That is too good. I don't even wanna say anything else about it now. It's a very unique style, right? And again, yeah, you can see that I think these are like bird wings being used to create the chainmail around like the head here. Like, Bruce will use anything that isn't baseline Heroforge chainmail. I think if there's anything to criticize about the model, it's that like the custom posing is very like, it looks to me like the upper body is more in motion than the lower body, and custom posing like this is super hard. Like, Kitbashing will make this a lot easier. I think overall, like, it's just unique, right? Like, Rooster has his own style, and I don't see anyone else like come close to replicating it, so that is always cool. Also, I said he wasn't using decals, but this is some masterful coloring with just decals here. Those are some of the best burn scars I've seen. Way better than looking than mine are. Maybe I should copy that. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Well done. Awesome job. One more model for the road. Let's see what we're gonna get. It's gonna be that blue name, right? Or the red name? Hello card. That's not edgy at all. Congratulations. So, last but certainly not least, we have a Dungeon Master Lich. So not really a character so much as, well, I mean, it's a character, but you get what I mean. And I gave this one to Solar Simon DM, who's kind of the VIP of this video, right? Like, as I've always said, Solar Simon DM is, in my opinion, the most skilled modelier I've ever seen in Heroforge. Like, no one really comes close. I think this guy probably has secretly 200 IQ or something. Maybe you should go work for NASA. I think off the bat, just ignoring the technical skill that goes into making a model like this, I love that you can immediately see that it's a DM. Like, it has floating dice and they're all super colorful and it's all just hovering around the character's staff, and then obviously a dragon decal on the book that's held up facing only the DM, which is such a classic like Dungeon Master trope. It's just... Then obviously custom face customizer to create the skull, the horns, like using the unicorn horn and these other things to create a crown. And it's so colorful, yet without looking silly, in my opinion, which is hard for me, because usually I find colorful models very, very silly. But I mean, it works with the concept, to be fair. So let's cancel all the posing and let's see what happens. Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit cursed, but you gotta love to see it. There's of course also a custom cloak here. I mean, there is a normal cloak which is combined with wings to make this like extra big cloak. You have some like cloth ribbons hanging off the sides combining with the skirt using the same colors. You have some custom, I think this is a book being used in the chest piece to make the chest, like the actual torso, look more unique and like not shaped like other Heroforge torsos. And of course the two red glowing medals which match with all the other red gems on the glove and the crown and the other glove, etc. So it's consistent all the way throughout. I regret that I wasn't able to find some like big machine or something for Solar Simon to work on. It would have been very, very fun to see him build one of those. Like, he has made some amazing like robotic and machine-like characters in the past. But you know, even with a concept like this, he did not disappoint. Like, this is awesome. I cannot wait for people like Solar Simon to get Kitbashing, because then it's gonna go crazy. Thank you very much for joining, Solar Simon. Awesome model. 10 out of 10. Would definitely join this character's D&D campaign. Alright, look, if you made it this deep into the video, then thank you very much for watching. These rework videos take a long time to make and a lot of organizing to get all the other people together and have it all sorted on a schedule. And on that note, I want to give a very quick special thanks to Cheese and Regency, two moderators in my Discord. Cheese did a lot of work to like gather people, the organization of pulling all the modeleers together, etc. And Regency helps me out with like the sorting of all the submissions, the counting, the name lists, all that. Just like, you two are lifesavers. Without you, I could not be doing this project when it's this big. Thank you. So, if you like this video, please press like. If you dislike this video, by all means press dislike. And let me know what you'd like to see me work on next in the comments below. Also, a big special thanks to the people who have signed up to support me on Patreon. And now let's see if I can actually pronounce these names. Ken Hayes, thank you. Ghosty GM, thank you. Nicholas A. Paul, thank you. Pretty easy so far. Chemelius, thank you. Stoat Dross, thank you. And finally, Deus Mercurius Magna, thank you. Yes, I recorded that one after the other 5. Their contributions go a really long way in motivating me to make these projects, so thank you truly.